Hey guys, Tom with Elevation every weekend here. In today's video, I'm going to give you an update on my adventure bike base camp build that I've been talking about on and off for several months now. I've had a few trips out with the Tacoma now with my setup, and I feel like I'm getting it pretty well dialed in, so I just want to give you a quick look at what I'm doing. So I'm out getting one last camping trip in before the snow flies, and I actually just got to my camp spot. I'm in southern Wyoming and just got pulled in and parked, but I just want to kind of show you real quick. This is how it travels. So there's the bike. That's the 2021 Salsa Bear Grease. I am currently using the bomber strap to mount the bike, and it works really well. I've got the Thule rack, the Tepui rooftop tent, which we'll get into later. And then around the back, you can see I'm using a bin, which is my general camp supplies, a cooler with my food and drinks, and fire restrictions have been lifted, so I actually have some firewood, so we're gonna have a fire tonight. So I just want to go over my basic concept for this entire build. One, I wanted to keep the truck fairly lightweight, and two, I wanted to be fairly budget friendly. Now I realize terms like lightweight and budget friendly are highly subjective terms. It really comes down to what is your point of reference as far as what you're comparing it to. So what I'm comparing this vehicle and this build to is, I didn't want it to be one of those 7,000 pound plus Tacomas rolling around out there, and I didn't want to spend $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on it either. So for the weight, I did want to stay within the stock payload of the Tacoma, which unfortunately isn't that high, but certainly can be done. And on the budget side, I did want to have some good amenities for multi-day trips, but again, I did want to spend tens of thousands of dollars on modifications. As far as the running gear of the truck itself, it is essentially still stock. It is not lifted. It has the stock Bilstein suspension. The one upgrade I made there is my stock tires did wear out and needed replacing anyway, so I upgraded to a set of the Goodyear Duratrax. They're more of an extreme all-terrain, so they're still a very good all-round tire, but are very good off-road. And I did go up 1 inch in size on the tires because the truck can clear 32-inch tires without any extra lift. So that was the one mod, so to speak, I did make. And it is pretty obvious. The truck is a TRD off-road, so it does have crawl control, rear locker, highly capable off-road, certainly for my needs. I did buy it brand new. It is a 2018. It is my full-time daily driver, so even though a lot of people might say a new Tacoma is not budget-friendly per se, again, it's all relative. It is my daily driver. It meets all my needs, so I needed a new vehicle anyways, so that was kind of a fixed cost. So I'm not really going to go into the cabin and talk about everything I have inside the truck. I'm just going to kind of focus on the bed area and what's central to this adventure bike base camp build concept. Fortunately, it is extremely windy, so I'm going to try to keep this brief. So what's in the bed right now is, starting from front to back, is I have a set of traction boards, which is just something good to have if you're going to be off-roading, and it'll give you some peace of mind. If you get stuck, you can get yourself out. Again, these are very effective tools to have for recovery, and they're a lot cheaper and a lot lighter than a winch is. Next up, I am running a cooler. So while a fridge really is kind of the gold standard for extended overlanding and camping type things, the cooler was much cheaper. It's a little bit lighter, and it doesn't require power. Now, it does have the downsides of having to use ice and having to deal with all that aspect, but for the trips I do, that hasn't been an issue so far. And then in the back, I have my camp bin. So this just has all my miscellaneous camp supplies, and it does a great job keeping everything dry and dust free. And as you can see, it all snugs up in the bed well. I do have it secured with ratchet straps, so you definitely want to do that. But I still have plenty of extra room. As you can see, and as I mentioned earlier, I was able to get a couple bundles of wood in there. I do have a 4-gallon water container. Because I'm by myself and this is just a quick trip, I actually have the water inside the cooler with my other drinks and food, but that could certainly fit over there behind the bike as well if I needed the capacity inside the cooler. And lastly, talking about the rack in the tent, I did go with the rack because I did want to use a rooftop tent, and I definitely did not want to put it actually on the roof. Thule does offer a couple different height on their racks. They do make one that does go up to cab height, which I didn't want. I actually wanted the tent to be as low as possible. It's still up a little high. It does ding my fuel economy a little bit, but I didn't want one of the really low riding racks because I wanted to maximize my bed space capacity, especially for mounting my bikes. I mean, that's what really this is all about, is giving me a base camp to set up where I can still have a bike with me and go out and do my rides and exploration. So I am going to go ahead and get this all opened up just so you can see the whole thing set up, and I'll talk a little more about how I like it, how it's performed as is, and the handful of things I do have on tap for next summer, as there are a couple things that'll be nice to haves, not need to haves, but nice to haves for longer trips. Guys, there's the tent pretty much set up. Because it's going to be a cold and windy night, I'm going to leave these two windows completely closed. That's the direction the wind's coming from. I will open up the back side, and then obviously the entryway needs to be open. I'll probably be posting some in-depth installation and review of the tent before too long, but right now that's pretty much it. Just got a few odds and ends to tie up with the skirt and everything. But it's a good, comfortable tent, and it's performed well. I have had it in 30-degree temps. I've had it in rain. It's been warm and dry, again with my sleeping bag. This will be the windiest night I've put it through, and it'll probably be the coldest, so I'll be curious to see how it performs. Let's step up the ladder real quick and take a look inside. And that is it. And it does vent well. I don't have any condensation issues. I've had it in the summer, high humid situations. Again, having it in the rain where I had it pretty closed up, it's still ventilated well as far as the condensation goes. Did a really good job. But I'll get my pillow, my sleeping bag, and some other odds and ends in here, and then we'll start setting up the rest and getting the fire going. All right, guys, sun is getting low, getting ready to get the fire going, so working on that. Just got some odds and ends set up here. But since the wind has died down a little bit, I did want to take the opportunity to go over a couple things on this build that I mentioned earlier, things I would like to add to it. So I think next year I will try to add a roof rack of some sort, probably something, maybe even the stock Tacoma rails would be sufficient. Basically, I just want to be able to mount a couple things up there. One is eventually maybe a hard solar panel, and then two is maybe to have the option to mount traction boards up there if I so choose, but that's about it. The other thing I've been thinking about is maybe getting a Wii Boost, which is a cell signal booster that you can mount on the roof, and if you have a little bit of weak cell signal, if you have one of those, you can really amp it up and have some functional communication and connection. So that's one thing. The second thing, and probably the biggest thing, is some sort of battery box. So something like a Goal Zero or a Jackery, one of those types of things. I'm not really looking to wire up a permanent system like a Red Arc or things like that and get into all that complexity and expense. I would like to have more power for charging, devices and flashlights and things like that, and also just to power anything else like a Wii Boost or whatever it may be. And it also has the benefit of, you can use it at home too, and it's portable. So not super expensive, not super heavy. I would probably go with the lithium, which is a little more expensive, but is lighter, but you can actually use more of the actual charge. But some sort of portable battery that can charge things and is flexible is on my wish list for next year. And I might start with actually actually some sort of a portable solar panel or solar blanket, something that is not hard mounted to the truck, that can be moved around. And again, it could be used at home, hypothetically too. So that might be the direction I go first. But other than that, I am actually quite happy with the setup. It's proven itself to be fun, flexible, and efficient. But in the trips I've done this year, I have been quite happy with the setup thus far. I'm sure it'll continue to evolve. As of now, the goal is to keep my Tacoma in that more stock realm and not exceeding the stock payload rating. Maybe down the road, I'll decide to get a little more ambitious. But I think for now, it's proven itself to do everything I'm needing it to do, and have a lot more on the agenda for next year. So we'll really be putting it to the test. Well, as you can see, the sun is almost down, so I'm gonna go ahead and get back to my fire and get that going, and definitely get some dinner going, and just enjoy the evening. Looks like the wind is at least eased up, died down a little bit, so that's definitely nice. You can definitely see there's some sun on the rocks over there, so looking good and scenic. So we'll be checking in at some point later, and we'll be getting wrapped up tomorrow morning and getting out of here early. Hey guys, as you can see, I am at home. I didn't get the opportunity to film the outro at the campsite that I intended. The wind actually got brutally intense overnight. After about 2 hours of getting hammered inside the tent, not being able to sleep at all, I decided the best thing to do is just to close it up to protect the tent and move on. So I ended up headed home in the middle of the night, which wasn't ideal, but as a result, I'm home. There's the truck. If you have any questions or comments about my build or my plans for it, definitely leave those down below. If you found the video useful or insightful in any way, definitely drop a like down below. And if you're interested in following my further build on the truck, and especially the adventures I'm going to do with it, with the fat bikes, definitely subscribe to the channel. It does really help out the channel. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.